Great. Well, happy Thursday, everyone. I just want to thank everyone who's on the workshop this evening for being here. This is another of our Money Matters workshop series that Family Promise of the Verdugos puts on every other week on a monthly basis. And tonight we're going to be talking about tips for starting and sort of balancing a side hustle with whether you have a full-time job, whether you work a part-time job as well, sort of tackling and taking on maybe an idea that you have to earn extra income through a side job that maybe you've been planning, thinking about, or just even perhaps wondering, man, I wonder if I could turn something that I do, something that I'm good at, that maybe I don't necessarily do as my primary form of work and earning income into another revenue stream. And as I mentioned before, I want to look at this from the perspective of, look, you should definitely have your hobbies. You should definitely have your passions and your interests. Doesn't mean you have to monetize and turn everything that you do and that you spend your time on into making money. That's definitely not what I want to focus on tonight. I want you to be balanced. I want you to be healthy and take part in the things that you love to do. We don't always have to, in our society, make money from doing it. But what we do talk about a lot in our workshops is making smart money decisions, making smart personal finance decisions. And a lot of that comes with budgeting and using our resources smartly, creating budgets, creating spending plans, saving, a lot of these different habits, right? And if you're doing a lot of those things to the best of your ability, there does come a point when you literally probably have to say, look, I've done everything I can. I've slashed expenses. I'm trying to save what I can. I'm paying down my debt. I'm wisely using credit cards. I'm not overspending. Like, I'm literally using every dollar of my income to the best of my ability. There does come a point where you do have to ask yourself, maybe earning more money, saving more money, and having more resources is taking that next step to actually finding ways to earn extra income. So whether you're sort of tired of living paycheck to paycheck, or you want to build up retirement, or you're saving for your kids' college education, or you have a short-term savings goal of, I don't know, maybe in the new year, you want to take a vacation. Maybe perhaps finding a way to bring in extra income could be a likely way for you to be able to do that, especially if you're doing everything else in terms of managing your money wisely. So what I want to do tonight is talk about starting a side hustle and figuring out how to make a little bit more money. And I think that is, doing it is easier said than done. But I want to walk through the steps of why it could be beneficial for you. Maybe even brainstorm ideas of some things that you could start, because maybe you're saying, Brian, I don't even know what else I would do on the side. I work all day long. Maybe I don't have the time, or all I know is the work that I do all day long. What else would I even do? And I certainly don't want to continue to do more of the work I already do, right? So let's sort of get into it. And then along the way, I'd love to hear some of your ideas about maybe perhaps what you're doing or what you're trying to do, or maybe even what you're thinking about potentially doing. Or maybe you have a side hustle going on right now that you're continuing to build. Let's talk about the benefits of starting a side hustle. So what I'm not talking about here is intentionally trying to start something so that you can ultimately leave your full-time job. Now, later on down the road in the future, if it comes to that and you build something that becomes successful and you do want to take that step, that's a different kind of discussion. I'm not going to address that tonight. Maybe at some point in the future, if people are talking about their side hustles and how successful they are with them, and we want to go sort of that extra step, how do I transition, Brian, from full-time employment, W-2 wage earning to being completely self-employed, yeah, we'll definitely talk about that. But what I want to sort of focus on first here is talking about the benefits of generating extra income where you have time, right? Maybe it's on the days that you have off or on the weekend or some other time of the day where you can focus on earning some extra income. So obviously that is one of the benefits of starting a side hustle, is to make extra money. Maybe it's not a lot in the beginning. Maybe you just set some basic goals for yourself of, I'll continue to do this side hustle. It doesn't matter to me if I earn $100 a month, if I earn $1,000 a month. I'm okay with whatever level it's going to be in the beginning, but I will constantly seek to try to grow it over time. I'm not trying to make this an overnight success so that my side hustle makes a six-figure income, by January. That's not what we're talking about here. It's just a way to layer in an additional stream of income. You can work around your job schedule. That's the benefit of a side hustle. Doesn't have to be full-time, doesn't have to be a 9 to 5, right? You can do it when and as you have the time. So maybe you're finding in your schedule, you know what, I waste a lot of time doing X, Y, or Z, sitting, vegging out in front of the TV, not getting a lot of things done. I could be a little bit more productive. And if I'm going to be more productive, I might as well turn that into something that can bring in more income. Maybe you've thought about being your own boss. Maybe you're the type of person who, when you're working a job, is always constantly sort of critiquing systems and looking at ways to do things more efficiently and better. And you're constantly commenting to yourself or thinking, man, if I was in charge of this, I would do it this way. Or if I had a business, I would do it that way. Maybe you just even watch Shark Tank, on TV, and you see different entrepreneurs come on, you see them talk about their businesses, and you even critique that and say, man, if I came up with that idea, I would do it this way. Or I really like that idea. I bet you I could do that. Like, if you're having those kinds of thoughts, this is a great way for you to try it out yourself without taking on the full risk of, again, leaving your full-time job, leaving the source of income that provides the most for your household, but maybe trying it out, taking it for a test drive, instead of jumping full feet into your side hustle, sort of gradually moving into it. You can work as much as you want. You can work as much or as little as you want. Those are some of the main sort of benefits of starting a side hustle. Let's talk about how to get started. Is there anyone in the workshop this evening who has actually started a side hustle? I'd love to hear about it. Maybe you could share where you're at in the process. Well, if you're just at the beginning, here's how to start.
Hi.
Yeah,
hi,
go ahead.
My name is Jessica.
Hi, Jessica.
I think I'm a struggle right now because I just got a job, but the hour is 15, the pay. And it's, I live in Pacoima, and the job it's all the way to South Pasadena by, I think it's Altadena and Sierra Madre.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like when I get paid, it's like $200 for the gas. And then on Tuesday, my daughter has to pay her Uber, because I feel like it's better for me to ask to be early at work instead of be there late, because if I be there late to wait for my daughter until she gets to school that is at 10, it will be $30. But if I just go to work at my regular time, it's only the $7 for the Uber. But I feel at the end of the month, it's gonna accumulate the $7 plus the gas, and for just the minimum, I feel like it's it's not worth it. But I'm still there because I'm learning, and it's like kind of like I think that how does it call, not a job, a training, that's what it is, a training.
Yeah.
But I just want to ask if you think it's worth it to keep going until, I think it's until January.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes some of our jobs that we have, because they're necessary, because we need them, actually cost us.
Yes.
We could be making more. And in your example, you're talking about, look, it costs me to go to work. And I think that's the case for a lot of us, where if we're not working at home, or if we're not working close to home, like you're saying, we're having to pay for Uber, we're having to pay for gas, we're having to pay for maintenance on our car, right? All of that is coming out of our pockets to earn money. And when that happens, we're earning less. But I think you hit on something that's really important, Jessica, which is right now, this job is sort of training. And so I think what you have to think about is long term in that job, are you gaining valuable skills that will help you maybe in the next job, or help you move up in your career, or in your career field, in your occupation, in your profession, right? Are you able to use that training and that education to hopefully one day move up or into a better job? And then it would be worth it, because then you would be making more money, and essentially you'll end up getting that money back that you had to pay in travel, right? If the job is not benefiting you in terms of moving up in your career, and it's just there for a paycheck, that might be a different kind of assessment, where you have to say, look, I'm paying all this money to travel out to Pasadena, Altadena, Sierra Madre area. Plus I'm having to pay for my daughter to get places, so I can do this job. Maybe perhaps while you're doing that, and while you're getting the training, you're also trying to do your best to look for jobs that are closer to home. And sort of to connect what you're talking about, Jessica, with the side hustle, is one of the benefits, like we talked about earlier in the first slide, is yes, we can make extra money, we can work around our job schedule, we can be our own boss, we can work as much or as little as we want. But one of the other benefits that I should have also put on here is that oftentimes our side hustle can be done right out of our home, right? And that cuts down on the cost of doing that side hustle in comparison to our jobs, right? So if you're starting a side hustle, one of the things is that it can be very inexpensive and very cheap to have your own business, to start up a side hustle, to make your own money. The first thing that you have to do is you have to assess what traits or what assets do you have, what skills do you have, right? What talents do you have? What things can you do that can make you money? What can you make money off of? Some people are good negotiators. Some people are good deal makers. And maybe it's setting up a business where really they're just making deals, selling their own stuff, flipping stuff. I know people who go to garage sales, buy things very cheaply. They know what's popular. They know what has value. They do their research on places like eBay or Nextdoor or OfferUp, some of these resale apps, and they know how much things are going for. They know what's popular. They know what sells really easily. And they spend time on the weekends going around to garage sales, picking up things for cheap and then reselling, right? Maybe you're good at that. It could be something like that. Maybe you have a particular skill. I don't know, maybe on the weekends you crochet or you knit, or you're good with woodworking, or you have some sort of skill that maybe you've been doing as a hobby, but people tell you when you give it as gifts or they see you doing it, they say, wow, you should sell that. People would buy that. These are the kinds of things that you want to start and begin to think about. Do I have a solution to other people's needs? right? Maybe I sew and I make baby blankets. Gosh, people are having kids all the time, right? There's never going to be a shortage of children. There's never going to be a shortage of parents needing baby products. There's never going to be a shortage of baby showers and people looking for gifts, right? Maybe that's something that I can make. I enjoy making it. I could sell it as well. So really the first step in beginning a side hustle is to think about, do you have a solution to other people's needs? And are you excited and are you passionate about that solution? So what I mean by that is, do you love doing it? And do you want to help others in getting that solution, in getting them the help that they're looking for? It could be an actual physical product. It could actually be a service, right? We'll talk about some ideas here in just a little bit. So that's step one. Step two, what tools will you need to start offering your services? Is this a business where you have to invest a lot of money to get it going? Are you going to need to buy inventory? Are you going to need to have a location? Can it be done out of your home? Can you easily start with very, very minimal initial investment to get it going? I think you're going to find that for most side hustles, it doesn't take that much money to get it started. Step three, how are you going to find work? Basically, how are you going to find customers? How are you going to find the people that have this need for what you're offering? Right? Those are the three basic steps to start the side hustle. What do I have that other people want? Do I have a solution to other people's needs? If I don't have that, I may not have a good business. I may not end up with something that will be successful, because if nobody is looking for or needs my solution, I may not do very well. Okay. So if that is your first obstacle, you may need to do some brainstorming about, what do I have the ability to do? And then what do I see people needing? And make the connection between the two. What can I offer? What do people need? How can I be a solution to what people are needing and wanting? What is it going to take for me to get the business off the ground and get it going? And how am I going to find customers? How am I going to make that first sale? Is it just advertising on Nextdoor? Is it because I know friends and family who need the solution? Is it going to be word of mouth that people are going to start referring people to me? How am I going to get customers? Once we've sort of figured those aspects out to starting our business, then we have to start thinking through, okay, let's start budgeting. How much money am I going to have to spend, right, or invest up front to get this business going? Do I need computers? Do I need, I don't know, office supplies? Do I need business cards? Could I just run my business entirely free on social media? Maybe I don't even need business cards. Maybe I can work my business right from my own phone. I don't need any computers. I don't need any special equipment. Maybe I'm offering a service, and I don't really have any product that I need to buy. You're going to start with almost $0, and you could still get the business off the ground. Sometimes business opportunities, side hustle opportunities are out there and they come to us, and we need to watch out for scams. If it looks too good to be true, just like anything else, it probably is. There are all kinds of multi-level marketing and pyramid schemes in terms of businesses, whether it's e-commerce, selling things online, whether it's makeup, whether it's household goods, cleaning products. You see it. You see it out there. People are using social media to advertise it, whether it's on Instagram and Facebook. They're constantly using their personal pages to promote whatever products they're selling. those might not be the best things for you, right? So make sure that if you're considering a side hustle like that, that you look into what's going to be involved. Is it selling women's leggings, athletic wear? Am I going to have to buy a ton of inventory before I can even start selling it and shipping it out? Where am I going to keep this? And do I have the room in my apartment for that? And what if the quality of the product is not very good? Would I be embarrassed selling this to friends and family and trying to get other customers? Like, you have to do your research and do your due diligence to find out whether that sort of organized side hustle is going to pay off or not. Number 3, you want to maintain a good life balance, right? You already have a job. You have a part-time job, maybe you have a full-time job. Maybe some of you have multiple jobs right now. Layering in a side hustle, I don't know if I could do that, Brian. I just don't have the time. I'm not advocating, I'm not saying you need to do this and run yourself ragged and thin because you're awake, 20 hours out of the day trying to do multiple jobs plus do a side hustle. So first assess too, as a reminder, if I take on more work, even if it's something I love, will I end up hating it? Will I end up liking the thing that was my hobby because I decided to try to monetize it and make money off of it? And now I'm up till 1 a.m. after I get home from work and I feed the kids and they go to bed and then I start working on my side hustle. Is it just taking up too much time? And now I'm not living a healthy life anymore. That's something to think about too. The other thing too is if you start making additional income and it becomes successful and becomes sizable income, you'll have to pay taxes on your self-employed earnings, right? So if you use an accountant to do that, or even if you do it yourself and you do it on TurboTax, starting a sole proprietorship or a self-owned business will require you to file what's called a Schedule C. It's an additional tax form as part of your 1040 that says, hey, I made money from a self-owned sole proprietorship, a self-owned business. And of course, the IRS and the state of California want to get their taxes on that money. So a lot of times people make the mistake of they will start a side hustle, they'll start earning money, and then they'll start spending that money, right? And they're forgetting that they're going to owe a portion of it to Uncle Sam, the IRS. So if you start making side hustle money, make sure that you're setting aside enough to pay taxes if you're going to owe taxes. Maybe something that you can do if you're considering a side hustle is if you have a CPA, if you have somebody that does your taxes, go to them first and say, look, I have this idea. I don't know, I'm going to sell dog leashes. I'm going to make my own dog leashes. I love pets. I love dogs, and I'm going to sell this. I know a lot of pet owners. What's going to happen to my taxes if I make additional income? I'm going to try to make, I don't know, a couple thousand extra dollars a year. What's that going to do? How's that going to change my taxes? Maybe have a discussion like that with your tax preparer first. Don't forget about that. I want to bring that up front because I don't want you to get caught later on down the road going, gosh, I made extra money. Now all of a sudden, oh my gosh, that's right, I have to report this on my taxes. So just some important reminders about, budgeting. Don't go crazy and go, oh my gosh, I have this amazing business idea and I'm going to throw a ton of my savings into it. I wouldn't jump in just like that. Have balance, prepare for taxes as well. How do we make it happen? Let's say we have an idea. Let's say, I don't know, maybe you're a musician. You want to teach lessons, whether it's piano lessons or you could teach guitar. Maybe you're good at resume writing and you could help coworkers or other people who are looking for new jobs, you could help them write their resumes. I don't know, maybe you're good at baking or interior design and you want to start a baking business or a design business, like any of these ideas, right? Maybe you love to cook and you want to cater small parties, you want to do birthday parties or weddings. Like, before you get into this, a couple of things. One, in order to make it happen, right? Sometimes we get what's called paralysis by analysis. We keep ourselves from actually starting something because we overthink it, right? We become paralyzed because we analyze it over and over and over and over. And we think about, what if I fail? And I wanted to succeed, but what if this happens? And what if that happens? And what if this gets in the way? Or what if I make this mistake? We overthink things so much that we don't even start. So maybe there's some of you that have had an idea for a business for a long time, an idea for a side hustle for a long time, but fear has kept you paralyzed because you keep thinking about all the what ifs. There comes a point that in order to make your side hustle happen, you have to overcome that analysis and you have to say, it's not going to be perfect. I just have to start. If I make mistakes along the way, I'm my own boss. I can fix it. I can learn from it and I can try different things. You're not going to be perfect the first time you do it. So maybe your first idea is, I'm going to go out to start my business and I'm going to buy 500 business cards. And you go out and you spend a bunch of time designing your business card and your logo and everything that's going to go on your business card. And you purchase 500 business cards. And there you are with 500 business cards. And you're like, now I don't even know what to do with these things. I'm going to just throw them out into the wind and find customers. Maybe that was a mistake, right? You're going to have these things. You're going to make decisions. You're going to make choices that maybe you're going to look back on and be like, I didn't need 500 business cards. I didn't need those things. They're just sitting there. That was wasted time. That was wasted money, right? But you're going to learn from that. So don't worry so much about making the mistakes, right? Just start. So I always try to think, when it comes to side hustles and running a business, ready, fire, aim, right? If you can think that way instead of ready, aim, fire. Right? So in that analogy, a lot of us will get ready and we'll aim, meaning we'll think, we'll look at the target. We know what we want to do. We want to hit that target, but we'll aim and we'll aim and we'll aim and we'll think and we'll think and we'll think and we'll think before we finally fire. But to get a side hustle going, you have to just get ready and then you just have to fire. And then look back and go, okay, I was off. I missed the target. I made some mistakes. Now I got to aim a little bit more. Maybe the business cards were not a good idea and I didn't need them. So what do I need to market? If it's not business cards, could I have just put my name out there on Instagram or on Facebook? Or should I have just talked to a couple coworkers and have them spread the word, right? That's what I mean by aim later. Now, don't just go out there willy-nilly and just try a bunch of different things. No, but to the best of your ability, make what you feel are strategic, good decisions, run it by people, get people's input, but at some point you have to take the step forward and try. You have to execute on those ideas. And if they don't work out, like I said, mistakes are great teachers and you just get better and better over time. To also avoid paralysis by analysis, at minimum, create a one-page business plan. See the business outside of your mind. Because we have all these thoughts and we daydream and we have these visions and goals of what we would do. And we see a successful business, but let's take it out of our mind and let's just put it on paper. And let's see what it looks like, right? So let me show this to you. Here is what could be a very simple one-page business plan. It doesn't have to be this crazy thing that you're going to take into a bank to get a small business loan off of. No, you're not looking to do a business like that. This is just a simple side hustle that you're going to do. A one-page business plan is going to suffice. And you should have 5 sections. If you address these 5 things, I think that you've begun that process of thinking about things smartly. So on paper, and it could be on the back of a napkin, it doesn't matter. But somewhere, get out of your mind, what are you going to sell? What is that thing? What is that product? What is that service? What is it that you're offering people? Who will buy it? Try to identify your target market. Who is going to be your ideal customer? Is it moms? Is it parents? Is it an automobile owner? Is it like who specifically? It can't just be, well, anybody who will buy it. That's casting too wide of a net. Because if you're just looking to sell something to anybody who will buy it, I don't know if you're going to have a viable business, right? So identify who your ideal customer is. Somebody that has that specific need or want for what you have or what you can offer. That's going to be your ideal customer. Maybe it's a particular age range. Maybe I'm selling to parents who have kids ages 5 to 10. Maybe I'm selling to young professionals who need a resume. I don't know, ages 20 to 25, right? Try to really identify who is going to buy your product or service. How will your business idea help people? If you can't identify how your product or service will help anyone, I don't know if customers will see how it's going to be helpful for them and why they would even want to buy it. What use is there is another way to look at it. What use is there for what you're going to provide and sell, right? So that's one section of your one-page business plan. That's the overview. Who's gonna, what are you gonna sell? Who's gonna buy it? Who's your ideal customer and how is it helping them? Second section, this is the money section, right? So just title this ka-ching, right? This is the money section. What are you gonna charge? Well, Brian, I'm just gonna sort of charge what I think, people will pay. Well, how are you gonna determine what people will pay? In your mind, maybe you're gonna price things really low so it looks cheap, right? And that will entice people to buy because it's low cost. But is that the best? Does it communicate value? I mean, trust me, I love to get things cheap. But sometimes when things are cheap, that doesn't communicate that it has value. It doesn't also communicate the quality of what you may be offering or selling, right? So think of the time and the energy that you're going to put into the product or into the service, and what is the cost to the customer that communicates this thing that I'm helping you with has value. Now, obviously you don't want to overprice it because then you might price yourself out and nobody will want to buy it. So you might have to do a little bit of testing in the beginning. Wow, everybody's buying what I have for 25 bucks and it's going like crazy. This is great. But maybe you might want to, instead of charging 25, maybe you try 35. Gosh, they're still buying it. It's crazy. Maybe you try 45. You're going to have to play with that price point, right? How are you going to get paid? How are people paying you? Is this just a cash business? Are people Venmoing you? Are you using a cash app? Are you using Zelle? Are people transferring money to you? Do you need to be able to charge people a credit card or a debit card? Maybe you need Square, right? You see retailers using it. Well, it's also available for individuals, right? Where you can email them an electronic invoice and they can pay via credit card. Maybe you have a little reader that you've attached to your phone and you can actually swipe a physical card because maybe you're selling your product at a flea market or you're selling it at a farmer's market. You're actually physically doing a transaction with a customer. So how are you going to get paid? How else could you make money from the project? For example, let's say we start a music lesson business, right? And we're teaching guitar. Yes, we can have one-on-one guitar lessons with people. That's one way to make money. Another way to make money would be to maybe formulate group classes. So you're doing less lessons, but you're accommodating more people. And maybe because it's a group, you charge slightly less because it's not one-on-one, but you're getting more people. So that maybe that's how you handle volume or quantity of customers. Maybe then you decide to make money a different way. You have the one-on-one lessons, you have the group lessons, and then maybe you decide, you know what, I could probably teach a beginner's or basic guitar, acoustic guitar class or course. And maybe I could put that up online. And maybe people would pay to take my class. How are you going to monetize or make additional money doing what you do in your business? Maybe they just buy a product from you and that's all there is to it, right? But maybe there's other ways to expand that by doing the same thing that you do, teaching guitar, but doing it in different ways to earn more and different ways of earning more money, right? Third section, hustling, right? Which is another word for how are you going to get out there and hustle and create visibility for yourself? How are you going to market? How will customers learn about your business? How do they even know you exist? Right? So I start my guitar, lessons business, but then how do I get customers? How do they even know I'm doing this? Right? How are you going to spread the message? How are you going to spread the message to people that have a need, that want to learn guitar, need to learn guitar? How are you going to let them know that you do this? How are you going to tell them? How are you going to tell your story? How are you going to encourage referrals? You don't want to be the person that is constantly talking about your guitar lesson business, right? There's other things to talk about when you're with family, with friends, with other people. But how are you going to encourage people that you know who maybe don't need a lesson to spread the good word about your business, right? Maybe it's through parents of kids who are learning musical instruments right now. Hey, I would really appreciate it when you talk to other parents if they have kids who are interested in learning the guitar. I work really well with kids and I do group lessons. Or they can take one of my online classes. Like, how are you telling that story? How are you marketing? How are you advertising yourself? Maybe it's good old fashioned what they call guerrilla marketing, meaning you're going out and you're posting signs on bulletin boards in Starbucks and other places for local guitar lessons, one-on-one guitar lessons. Maybe you literally have to print flyers. Thinking through how are you going to spread beyond your network of people to get those first initial customers. And then once you have those first initial customers, then you can start generating word of mouth. But it's that first customer who really matters. How are you going to acquire them? How are you going to get them? That should be a part of your business plan. Because if you haven't thought that through, there could be crickets chirping when it comes to that. Okay, I've set up my side hustle now, Brian. Now I need a customer. What do I do? So you have to think through that. Fourth section should be, how are you going to define what becomes a successful side hustle? What will be your level of success? If you already have a full-time job or a part-time job, how is this side hustle going to allow you to continue to do those things and still be successful? Is it number of customers where you say, look, if I start this guitar lesson business and I get 2 customers, 2 students, 2 lessons a month, and I make an extra $100 a month, that's worth it to me. That's all the time I have. Or is it going to be, I want 10 lessons a month and I want to make $500 a month. So you get the idea, specifically setting out, whether it's in dollar amounts, how much you want to make or generate from the side hustle, or it's number of customers or number of products sold, or number of weddings catered, whatever. You have to sort of sit down and work through the numbers. You can't just say, I want to have a business and I want to tutor students. Okay, well, that's great, but what is going to define a successful tutoring business? What's going to define a successful photography business? I want to be able to do one wedding a month and one, I don't know, senior portrait sitting or session, right? Come up with some early, simple sort of victories that you can then build upon. Okay, now I got that wedding. I'm regularly doing a wedding, and I'm regularly doing a family session or a senior portrait session each month. Now let's see if I can maybe do a wedding and 2 family portrait sessions, right? So you're constantly sort of measuring and gauging how successful your side hustle is based on the amount of energy and effort that you're putting into it, to see if it's doable for you to expand it. And then, like I was talking about before, then we could get to the place where we then can talk about, could this actually grow into something that could take over your part-time job? And you do this instead. Could it be something that you have your full-time job doing and you get rid of the other part, your second part-time job, and you just do this? Could it replace one of your streams of income? That will be in the future. But in order to get there, you have to define what that success will look like for yourself. Plan. You should also sort of think through what are going to be the obstacles, the challenges, any questions that you have or concerns that you have. You should jot those down. What if my marketing fails? Maybe it's, what if I get too many customers? I can't even handle all of them. How do I deal with that? How do I deal? I'm sort of worried. What if I sell something and people want a refund? How will I do that? How will I offer that? Am I going to offer some sort of guarantee, money back guarantee? Like, how am I going to work through these sort of different business issues? So as part of your one-page business plan, even from the get-go, jot down some of those concerns, those fears maybe that would have kept you in the past from starting the side hustle, and try to work through, okay, I'm fearful that nobody's going to want my product. Let's say that's your big concern, rightly so. Well, then also define and try to answer that question. If nobody wants it, how am I going to test to see what it is that they actually do want? So maybe I decide I'm going to make baby blankets, and then I realized nobody's buying these. Maybe it's because what's really popular right now is not baby blankets, but baby beanies instead, or onesies, or maybe it's something else that's sort of trending right now. Maybe I needed to do better research in the beginning before just hopping in, right? So put those fears on paper first. That will give you the ability to then check to see whether that's a valid fear or not, or you are just sort of worrying about nothing. It'll help you plan to combat those fears and to have workarounds and be able to sort of shift and maneuver when you need to as you start the business, right? So one resource that I think is not only inspiring, but is also very helpful is a book that's called The $100 Startup. It's by Chris Gilbo. The $100 Startup is a collection of side hustles that Chris, the author, has researched and listened to the stories of side hustlers who started these businesses when they had a full-time job plus a part-time job. Maybe they had multiple jobs. Maybe they had no job. and they were looking for a way to earn extra income. He interviews them in this book and tells the story of how they got started and what they did to become successful in starting a business or a side hustle with less than $100. So less than $100 upfront investment, whether that's, I don't know, buying a computer and getting business cards and getting internet to start a business. All of these people in his book started that business for under $100. Basically started it from the ground up, from scratch, and really spent nothing, next to nothing, to get it going. They weren't renting out office space. They weren't hiring employees. No, they just started very, very small, less than $100. It's a collection of multiple side hustlers' stories. It's a great, great book. $100 startup. It might even give you some ideas. It might even share stories of businesses that you've been thinking of starting. And it's helpful to see how these people did it, right? That's a great, great book to start with if you're looking for some inspiration and some ideas, right? So I think maybe perhaps this is something that we would want to circle back on in the new year, because maybe the new year is going to be a great opportunity. 2022 is going to be a good time for you to start bringing in some extra income through that side hustle that you've been thinking of starting. Use the holidays to map out and to think through that one-page business plan. How am I going to put this together? What am I going to do? Get excited about it. And you know what? This is the time where you can test your market. You could talk to people. You could talk to family and friends and coworkers, and you can see, wow, is this idea I have, could it be something? Could it actually turn into something where I can make some money? Maybe you've been making, I don't know, maybe you've been sewing some things at home, and everybody tells me I should sell this, but I've never really put it out there. I don't know. Maybe the holidays is a good time to just test drive and do an experiment and start an Etsy shop, or try to sell a couple things on Nextdoor or any of these reselling apps. Just post it, put it out there, and just see if it sells, just to experiment. And if there's a demand for it, then maybe you've got something. Maybe you've got an idea that you could create enough of these products that would sell on a regular basis, and you could save up for that vacation that you were planning in January. You know, it's just extra money, right? So I hope this has given you some good ideas to maybe get started on your own. If maybe you're in the middle of the process and you've already started and you're hitting some roadblocks and you're encountering some obstacles and it's getting frustrating and sort of depressing, if ever you want to talk about it, feel free to reach out to Lisa, feel free to reach out to myself, and we can certainly help get you some resources, or maybe answer some questions that you have, or even just give you some ideas about how you can move forward and sort of get unstuck. Next time, November 18th, on a Thursday, 6 p.m. If you are not thinking about starting a side hustle, but if you're thinking about changing jobs, if you're encountering the possibility of getting a new position, actually going out there and applying for new jobs, whether that's going to be soon, whether that's going to be in the upcoming year, you know you need to sort of make a change. We're going to talk about things to consider when you're changing jobs. And so what I mean by this is not just how to change jobs, but as you're transitioning and making that switch to a new job, how do you prepare financially for that transition and that adjustment, right? Because maybe you're going to be taking a pay cut, but it's for a position that will in the long term be better for you. How do you prepare for that financially? How do you prepare for that time frame where you leave your old job, you start a new job? what's happening with benefits, what's happening with retirement, what's happening with income and paying my bills. How do I successfully jump to that next job? We're going to be talking about that Thursday, November 18th at 6 p.m. In the meantime, I know that Lisa has some programming going on. Lisa, I think there's something on Veterans Day next week on the 11th, right?
Yes. So next week it's going to be Jason Romero with the National Alliance on Mental Illness. He's going to give us a little short but informative session just talking about the services that they offer. So that should be a good one.
Okay, great. Well, thank you guys so much for being here this evening. It was great seeing all of you. I'll see you on the 18th. In the meantime, don't forget to be here next week on the 11th as well for the program that Lisa just mentioned. So thank you guys so much.
Thank you so much for the advices.
Yep. Have a
See you
good night.
next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.